What's going on, family? How y'all doing? Listen, I wanted to talk to y'all about overcoming the spirits of failure and inadequacy on today. All right. We're going to be talking about overcoming failure and inadequacy. Now, you have to shift from a life that's shaped by failure and inadequacy into a life that's shaped by identity, shaped by resilience, and grounded in purpose and in a godly confidence. All right. So, the truth is, when it comes to failure and when it comes to overcome these feelings, it's not about pretending that you're strong, but it's about understanding what these feelings are, where they come from, and how you can reclaim your power over them. So, failure and inadequacy, yes, can be emotions, they can be spirits that are linked to these things. There are spirits of failure, and that's something that you want to take in the place of prayer and begin to renounce and denounce. But these are also mindsets that come from different interpretations. Are y'all with me on today? So, two people can experience the same exact thing, but have two different results or two different interpretations. But the difference is that one sees it as proof they're not enough, the other sees it as information and feedback for redirection and course correction to become better. So it's all about how you interpret things. So the difference isn't the event, it's the story that you've attached to it. So when you feel inadequate, it's usually because you were judged harshly growing up. You were compared to other people all the time, and you always felt like people made it seem like everybody else had something that you didn't, or everybody else had something better than you did. You were praised only for performance, but you were punished for mistakes. So if you were driven or pushed into that performance-based living, that can do this too. You were abandoned or rejected maybe at key moments of your life where your confidence was supposed to be being built up instead of being shamed and broken down. So you have to pinpoint where you see yourself in this list of things that I'm giving you. So your brain, it starts to learn that failure means inadequacy and mistakes meant that you're not enough. So you live in defense to try and prevent situations that you might make mistakes in because you don't want that embarrassment or humiliation all over again. You don't want to deal with that disappointment. It's not a good feeling, right? So you stay limited, and this is the negative part about it. You stay average because you're afraid to do anything that seems great. You're afraid to pursue anything that seems out of your boundary of skill set because you don't want people to see you mess up again. So inadequacy is the inner child's voice, not the adult version of you. It's the inner child that says, if I fail, I'll be rejected. Right? If I fail, I'll be shamed for it. If I'm not perfect, I'm not worthy. If I make mistakes, I might lose everything. But the adult you, like the mature version of you that really understands, you'll understand that failure is a part of growth. You'll understand that your mistakes do not define your identity. Many of you is just the interpretation that's wrong, and you haven't gotten over that inner child that can't try something and make a mistake and deal with the initial rejection of it and still move forward. So you have to come to the conclusion that setbacks, they do not erase your value or define your worth. They're just data collected for recalibration. Somebody say that with me. They are just data for correction and recalibration. Why did you fail? Why did you make the mistake? Overcoming inadequacy, it's about allowing your real Father in heaven to reparent that inner child, to heal that inner child so that the shame can be removed and now you can experience what it's like to be a child of God. Because once you're able to experience being a child of the Most High God, once you're able to experience from a place of sonship, I promise you it's going to change how you view yourself, and it's going to change the verdicts that you put on your identity. So there's a difference between healthy failure and shame-based failure. Let's check it out real quick. So a shame-based failure will have the voice in your mind of, I didn't work out. But a healthy interpretation of failure will say, this didn't work out, what didn't work, and what do I need to change, and what do I need to adjust? A shame-based failure will say things like, I'm the problem and I'm not enough. And you begin to take that on as an identity and live from that place. But a healthy interpretation of failure will just say things like, I need a new strategy and I'm learning. That's the way that you have to begin to interpret things. And again, it seems simple to some people, but when you actually change this and you rewrite the laws, you rewrite the narrative and actually declare them, it starts to rewire the way that your brain thinks, and it starts to rewire the way that you handle difficult situations. So the shift happens when you stop making failure a verdict on your identity. Stop making your failures an indictment on who you are. Separate identity from performance. Your identity should not fluctuate whether you perform well or not. your identity should not fluctuate based on whether you get validation or don't get validation. So you have to realize that you are not your mistakes, right? You're not your past, you're not your setbacks, your slow seasons. No matter what you struggle with, you have to be the one that keeps showing up. So if you're the one who keeps showing up, that means you haven't failed yet. If you're the one that keeps doing the work, that means you haven't failed yet. You only become a failure when what? Y'all know it because I'm sure you've heard it all the time. When you give up. So begin to redefine failure as data and feedback, not judgment. Failure is feedback, and failure is also practice. So it tells you things like this. It tells you what needs adjusting. It tells you what about your life or your system is misaligned, what skills you might be lacking that you need to build, even if you are lacking a certain skill, right? Like a lot of people feel inadequate because they're like, I don't know if I can handle this, or I don't know if I'm good enough to do this yet. Well, that's the thing. You're not good enough to do this yet. But that should push you to realize, okay, well, if I'm not good enough to do this yet, I need to get good enough. What do I have to do? What type of training and equipping? What type of class do I have to take? You have to understand, and I was talking about this to everybody in my live video. If you see people like Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, he got cut from his sophomore high school basketball team. Can you imagine if he told everybody, I'm going to be the best basketball player of all time one day? They would have laughed in his face. Can you imagine if he took that failure as defeat and took that as an identity and he never played basketball ever again? We would not have had the gift and the blessing of seeing somebody like Michael Jordan. He took it as data. That failure actually produced a lion within him. That failure that activated the dog within him to go harder next time. He collected that failure as feedback, and he strengthened his skill set. He strengthened his talent, and he kept on going. And he became the greatest basketball player of all time. It's the same thing with anything, with athletes, football, basketball, speaking, preaching. It's the same thing with building a business, everything in life. Amen. Where do your skill sets, your gifts, and your talents have to be refined and have to be cultivated? Do whatever you need to do. Other things you can identify is what direction is wrong, what direction is right. Maybe God is taking me to a new process. Maybe he's course correcting me. Do I need to adjust something in my process to make things flow smoother? See, people see one thing not work out, and they go straight into condemnation. Understand that failure is actually a compass for your navigation, not your condemnation. And I want y'all to write that down if you can. So what you want to do is start to build evidence of your capability. I talk about this in my video on building divine momentum on my EJM Worldwide YouTube channel. Just like you want to focus on gratitude instead of the bad about your circumstance, you want to start recording and celebrating your small wins, even if they're really small wins. You want to start recording your wins instead of just focusing so much on what you can't do. Even down to the micro wins. Every time you do something and you're like, okay, I did a pretty good job at this. It's not that big of a deal, but it's still some type of win. Write those things down, and then over a period of time, they begin to compound into confidence, which pushes you and nudges you to continue executing. You start collecting evidence, like just random examples. Could be, I handled this conversation well with a difficult person. Well, I didn't snap out on my baby mama or my baby daddy this time, right? Another example could be, this right here didn't work out, but at least I didn't collapse and shut down this time. I have a difficult person in my life. I set the boundary this time. I didn't let them walk all over me this time. These are small wins that help build up your confidence. Or you could say things like, well, this didn't work out the first or the second time, but guess what? I didn't shut down, and I still showed up today, and I'm still doing the work with a positive attitude and with confidence. Once you start to do these little things, I promise you, it makes a big difference in the way that your mental and emotional state begins to shift. Once you start paying attention to even the little details in situations like this, it does something neurochemically, like recording or celebrating micro wins. It triggers the release of dopamine in the brain's reward system, and it's acting as a natural motivating reward even for tiny achievements. So this chemical, usually called the feel-good neurotransmitter, it boosts energy and it boosts your focus, which is what you need to go toward your goal. It boosts feelings of satisfaction, so it starts reinforcing all these neural pathways that encourage future action and future execution with whatever you're building. right? So it pushes you and it nudges you to keep going step by step. So what this does is it begins to rebuild confidence and it rewires inadequacy over time. You end up becoming a machine and you end up activating the lion within you, and now you're building momentum. Right, you've got some flow going, you've got some momentum going, right? You got some pressure going. So you end up becoming the person that knows, regardless of mistakes, you perceive yourself as someone who can learn and come back from anything. This is the kind of stuff that builds resilience over a period of time. Another thing is, too, you want to stop comparing yourself to other people's journey. Comparison is always going to rob you and depress you because you feel like you're not where other people are at. It'll begin to ruin your confidence and make you feel like, what's even the point of trying? Because comparison, it also ignores your starting point. You have to understand that some people that you see that are further than you, they might not have had the struggles and the battles that you faced. Yes, everybody goes through things, but there are some things and some situations that people have that actually slow them down, and it actually took more for them. It took more fight in them just to get a clean slate, as opposed to this person already having a clean slate and just being able to build, right? Comparison negates the battles you've overcome that the other person might not have. It ignores the context of your situation, which makes your situation unique. This is why you have to pay attention to these things and realize that where you're at right now, God is doing something with that. Your situation is not supposed to be like anybody else's. And a lot of times I tell people this, a lot of times God will make you wait longer because the blessing that he has waiting for you, it's bigger and greater than what that person is doing right now. You might end up surpassing and becoming better than the people that you're trying to compare yourself to. That's the crazy part about it. So how you know you're healing from failure and inadequacy, watch this. You'll notice these shifts. Number one, you try things without fear of looking foolish. You stop needing to be perfect before you begin. Number two, you don't spiral when something goes wrong. You recover faster. You self-correct instead of self-criticize. There's a big difference. Self-criticism means you're beating yourself down and you're getting in self-defeat. And self-correction means, okay, I did this wrong. Let's do it better this time around. Number three, you stop taking rejection personally and you see it as misalignment or the fact that that person wasn't meant to be in your life. So you stop seeing it as a verdict on your identity. Number four, you celebrate progress, not perfection. Small wins matter. Understand that. And I told y'all that before. Number five, you stop chasing validation because you don't need anyone's approval when you already have heaven's approval. Number six, you take risks again. Hello, somebody. Listen, and when I say take risks, I don't mean risking, unhealthy risks, reckless ones, or destructive behavior. I mean healthy risk taking, a new challenge, a new goal, a new opportunity, going to an event, going somewhere that you've never been before, trying something new, right? Investing in something, betting on yourself, healthy risks that are aligned with destiny and where God is taking you. And number seven, you feel more grounded and confident and less frantic. And your worth stops fluctuating depending on outcomes, meaning your worth stops fluctuating depending on if people accept you or not. Your worth stops fluctuating depending on your ability to perform or not. If you make a mistake, it doesn't change how you feel about you. All right? And understand these three things. Number one, you don't overcome inadequacy by being perfect. You overcome it by becoming whole. Number two, you don't overcome failure by never failing again. You overcome failure by changing the meaning of it. And number three, you don't heal by proving yourself. You heal by accepting yourself. Self-acceptance, understand, is one of the biggest things that allows people to endure failure without affecting their moving forward and allows their nervous system to feel safe enough to try again and to continue growing. So in all these situations, when it comes to failure and inadequacy, it's the meaning that you attach to the experience that determines the trajectory. It determines your ability to either stay stuck or your ability to move forward. So you want to reframe the meaning of a situation. A small example can be something as simple as this. Like the inadequacy, and I said this before, but inadequacy says, I didn't work out. But the healthy interpretation of failure is this didn't work out, but I can learn a new strategy. I can learn a new skill set. There's an engineering that I haven't figured out yet, and I'm about to go figure it out.